Hey everyone, welcome to part 4 of this trust series. I'm Timothy Pecoraro. So glad you're joining me as I wrap up what I believe is an important topic. It's important, not only topic, but it's something that's missing. It's an attribute, a quality that we're needing today in leadership, in life, and relationships. I mean, man, we need it. And it's all around trust. So today, part 4 is around sustaining and growing trust, and then how to keep it strong. So if you haven't listened to parts 1, 2, and 3 or watch them, I encourage you to go back, put this on pause, go back and listen to those, watch those, and then jump into the part 4, okay? But what I want to do is in the last episode, which was part 3, here's a simple recap. We talked about what to do when you're the one who's been hurt, all right? I mean, I don't know about you. I've been hurt before. I've hurt people and I've been hurt. How to respond when trust is broken, where the other person is trying to make it right, or maybe they're refusing to change, right? We learned that, and there are 5 things that we learned. The first one was healing starts by acknowledging the pain. So you don't bury it, you acknowledge it. The second one is we have to discern a mistake from a pattern, right? Because we're going to make a decision about what happens. So deciding how close I'm going to stand, I need to know the difference. I got to discern between a mistake and a person who's got a pattern of this behavior. The third is we engage with grace and truth. All right. So grace and truth, it's very important for whatever we do to come in with some grace. We come in with the truth, but offering forgiveness without abandoning accountability. That's what that means. We give forgiveness. That's our goal, but we're not going to abandon accountability. The fourth one is we must set boundaries where there's no change. So if a person is not willing to change or not going to change, we have to protect our peace. Boundaries are going to be important. And then the fifth is, and final, is we release, not retaliate. So letting go so the wound can close, right? We want the wound to close up so we can heal, and then the lesson can stay so that we can learn. So that episode was about that, was just all about closure. It's about healing. So this one is going to be about continuation. This is what we're dealing with. How to keep the trust you've built and how to make it even stronger, right? Because here's the truth. Building trust once is impressive. Rebuilding it after a fall, like something goes wrong, something gets broken, that's redemptive. And to me, there's so much power in redemption. But sustaining it, that's huge, right? How do we sustain this day after day? How about how do we sustain it day after day in our work, day after day in our family, day after day in our friendships? That's where lasting influence is found. So today, we're going to be talking about how to keep trust strong in every area of life, whether that's on a team, whether that's in your marriage, whether that's in your friendships, organization, you name it. All right. So I'm going to go through a list of things. I'm going to keep it simple. Jot these down, and I hope that you bring them into your life so that you too, you can have a life that is marked by sustaining and growing trust, and that you can keep it strong. All right. So here we go. Number 1 is stay consistent when no one is watching. Trust thrives in the quiet moments when nobody's looking. Integrity is a strong, it's something that you should desire. Let's put it that way. Integrity is such a strong attribute and quality that if someone could say you have integrity, but integrity isn't a stage performance, right? So a lot of times people that come in, they can demonstrate the integrity. They can demonstrate those things, right? But what we're looking for is a longevity of something. We're looking for what a person's like when there's no applause. People trust what's predictable and proven over time. So if they know that they can count on you over and over and over again, then that becomes what people would say, that's integrity. That's what you do when no one's looking. That's what people ultimately trust. So on a sports team, teammates trust the player who trains, even on the off days, in the off season, and they still show up. They show up on time, or they even show up early. They show up ready to go. That's what people look for. Okay. When it's at work, people trust the colleague who delivers even when the boss isn't watching. They still do the job. Even they take the job all the way up into to the point of where they can't continue, even if they need someone else to provide to them some things that are missing in order to finish a project, they don't sit there and go, well, I will work on this when they bring me what I need. No, they work it all the way up until I can go no further. If it's your family, consistency looks like keeping your word to your spouse or to your kids, even when it's inconvenient, right? So I think if you tell your kids you're going to go play ball with them, go play ball. Okay. You've got to not you can't decide what you're going to do based on the convenience. If anything is important to you, especially when it comes to relationships, it should be that you keep your word to the people that you're doing life with and that you make commitments to. Do your best, okay, even when it's inconvenient. There's a passage of scripture in Luke 16:10 that says, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And so for me, what that means is trust is earned in little things, but also I know this, trust is lost the same way. It's in little things that we lose and we break trust. So when consistency is our pattern, when that becomes your pattern, my pattern, then communication becomes the next key ingredient that keeps trust alive, right? So if we know consistency is what we're looking for, now communication is going to be important. So here's the second one: communicate early, clearly, and often. So here's why communication is important, because silence will breed suspicion and clarity builds confidence. So most trust issues in teams and relationships, this is important, they're not caused by bad intent. They're caused by poor communication. Like that is really what it's out of. Poor communication. So when you're at work, that might mean checking in before a deadline slips or clarifying expectations before a project starts. In your family life, it looks like honest conversations about your finances, honest conversations around your feelings, or plans or plans that, instead of just assuming that the other person knows what they are, what's in your head? Like, what are you thinking? I've had people say to me, hey, Tim, you know what's really cool? I love that you're telling me, some of what it is, but you're not telling me all of what it is, because it's clearer in your mind than you're actually communicating. And a lot of times that's what happens. And it's what we do as humans is we talk from a place of our own understanding, but we forget that we've yet to include the other person. Okay? Remember that. So the people around you, they can handle just about anything. But what they can't handle is when you leave them out or you put them in the dark. That really frustrates people. So when you can communicate, I want you to do it early, I want you to do it clearly, and I want you to do it often. Because people will stop trying to guess. They'll stop trying to assume. And what they're going to end up doing is they're going to start trusting. So as communication grows, don't forget to notice and celebrate what's actually working. So that's the third thing. You want to celebrate. You want to keep this thing moving. Celebrate follow through. Trust is going to deepen when people feel seen and valued for their consistency. Like, not just I did it once. Oh, I did it. Did you see? Yay. Okay, you get a prize. You get yay, you. But what people look for is that consistency. All right. That's what they're looking for. So when we see the consistency, though, we want to deepen the trust because we want people to be seen, to feel seen and valued because they're being consistent, especially if it's the person who's broken the trust. Don't hold a person hostage because you continue to remind them that they failed. If they're working on it and they're literally changing and they're really doing better and they're really trying to go, to a new place in the relationship with you and they're being consistent about it, then men, celebrate that. Celebrate it. Because now it's not about them. Unless you're just going to hold them hostage, then you shouldn't even be engaged with them. You shouldn't be involved with them because you cannot continue to punish people and say that you still want to do relationship. So at work, I want you to celebrate a teammate who keeps their word, not just the one who closes a big deal, right? I see it all the time. I see people in an office that are consistent with pulling the reports together and things that are needed for the person that goes and closes the big deal, right? So what we want to do is the person who got the stuff together for the person that closed the big deal, I look to that person, I'm like, wow, well done. You continue. You're doing an awesome job because without you, the big deal doesn't happen. So it takes both. Both are important, but a lot of times the big deal is obviously big, and so it overshadows the little thing. Remember the little thing that builds trust, which got the big deal, all the things the big deal needed in order to be able to be closed. If it's on a team, I want you to recognize the player who shows up early and who helps other people improve. I love that. I love seeing a higher quality player lift the team. I've had the experience of coaching people in sports where you have extraordinary level player. I mean, up here, way up here, and then you had others that were just less than, and then you have them both together, and you've got to make a team out of it. And so you can see the character in players who, because they're better and they're used to always playing with higher quality, rather than them take their time to say, look, it is what it is. This is the team that we have. Let me help the team get better so we can go up. Instead, what they do is it's a lack of maturity and immaturity and a lack of character. In some cases, they just choose to just perform at a low level, or they just kind of casually go in, or they don't help the team, or they shut the team down when they could literally be building people up. Instead, what they're looking for is to be surrounded by a bunch of better players to be successful. So my rule is this: instead of complaining about the cards in your hand, just play them. Play the cards that you've been dealt. Play them. You might be surprised just how you can win with a less than hand. So just keep that in mind, that you recognize people who show up and you can help them. And they may not be as good as you. They may not be at the next level, but that's a whole nother topic. But I just encourage you to lift the level of others, raise them up, especially if you're good enough to do that. So in your house, here's an example. Say thank you when someone follows through on what they're going to do. If your kid cleans their room like they're supposed to, if they do something that normally you have to, be on them about, if your spouse helps you with something that normally they just don't want to do, maybe they cooked the dinner, they cooked a meal. Maybe they cooked a meal that you prefer over something that they would normally cook. That's even better. And it's not because they did anything wrong and they're trying to make up for anything. No, they just did it because they want to grow. So when you see those types of things, just say thank you. Outdo one another in showing honor. That's another incredible passage for me. Romans 12:10. Outdo one another in showing honor. When you honor consistency, you reinforce it. And when you honor consistency and it's reinforced, then your trust has that opportunity to multiply. So even strong relationships, though, they lose momentum if they stop growing. So here's the fourth one. Keep growing together. So trust isn't static. It either strengthens or it weakens. So in relationships, growth might look like learning a new way to connect as seasons change. You go through different things, so you have to find a new way to connect. My wife and I have to do this all the time. We're getting older. Our kids are in different seasons of life, but we've had to do it. Now for me, I've not done that so well in the past. I've done it well for everyone else, but not in my own home. And I've had to work on that. I had to change that in myself. It was something that was just not good. So instead, what it was like, I felt like I was doing so much outside that I was damaging what was inside. I was doing so much adapting everywhere else. I didn't want to have to adapt at home. I figured at home, I didn't have to change anything. But man, guess what? I was wrong. And it breaks stuff. It really does. So learn new ways to connect and don't put the pressure on other people. And always know that you're going through new seasons, and new seasons are going to require some new changes and new adjustments. Okay. And it's going to, most of the time, those changes and those adjustments, they're not easy. Easy is not what you want to do. You don't want easy good. You want hard best. You want the stuff that's going to, no different than lifting more weight, builds better muscle and endurance. That's what you're looking for, not the easy good that just stays simple and it's easy and you can blow through it and there's no challenge in what it is that you're doing. On a team, so when it comes to growing together on a team, it's developing skills, it's refining the systems, refining them, making the systems better, and it's even encouraging feedback. When it comes to your families, it's staying curious about one another, about each other's dreams, instead of assuming that you already know them. People change. They just change, and they do. And sometimes it's called latent potential. A latent potential is tied to maybe a dream or something that's been so far back in their mind, they didn't know how real it was. And so it comes out along with that revelation or with that epiphany that seems to be happening through that emotional life change thing that happens, or something goes on in their life, something in the world makes something open up, and they're like, wow, I see it. And they didn't see it before. So you've got to be ready to be curious and be open, so you can see where people are and maybe capture their dream and catch their dream, and be ready to go with their dream. Don't assume you already know them. Just don't. And here's the thing, even if you know them, then you know what? Why don't you honor them by understanding that there's still more to them? There's still more. We're all fearfully and wonderfully made. So we need to become a lot more curious and stop thinking that I know you. Yeah, you may know them, but there's more to them. Don't minimize the quality and the value inside of another person simply by saying, I know you, and assuming you do. Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. I mean, it speaks for itself. So if growth stops, guess what happens? Complacency will move in, and then trust is going to slowly fade away. So keep sharpening one another. Do that as often as you can. So finally, even when trust feels strong, never forget this last principle. And I want you to protect this principle. And what that is the culture. Protect the culture. Sustaining trust means guarding it, right? Every relationship, family, organization, it has a culture. My home has a culture. My family has a culture. The workplace has a culture. Everywhere I go, there's a culture. Our communities have culture. Churches have culture. Okay? A tone people feel is basically what the culture is. What's the tone they feel? What do they feel? So what I mean by that is it full of gossip? Do you guys complain all the time? Are you negative? Is there blame? Silent resentment slipping in all the time? These are the things that will erode a culture. It will just tear it apart. So at work, you want to protect that type of stuff by confronting toxic talk. Do it early. And you want to model respect. If it's in a team, you want to protect it by holding everyone, including yourself, to the same standard, that you do not tear each other down. You build each other up. In a family, you protect it by choosing grace over grudges. Oh my gosh. So many family members are just like so many grudges, and they're upset, and they got this bitterness, and it's family. Families fight, as they say, they get close. But you know what families also do? They fight and they can forgive. I mean, that's the thing. So raise the standard, lift that standard up. There's another passage of scripture that I love, that it's Galatians 6:9, and it says, let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. So just don't give up. Protecting trust takes endurance. But when you do that, when you protect trust, it's not going to take endurance only, but it's going to build it, and it's always going to pay off. That's what you have to realize. Protecting trust will take endurance, but it will always, always, always pay off. So here's my closing that I want to give to you. How do you keep trust strong? Well, first, stay consistent when no one's watching, right? Because integrity builds invisible value and worth. Integrity will build invisible value, worth, quality. That's what you're looking for. Second thing is communicate early, clearly, and often. Transparency keeps confidence alive. If you want to keep the confidence alive, be transparent, communicate early, clearly, often. Third thing, celebrate follow through. Recognize that when you see people, when you value them, that recognition is going to reinforce reliability, right? So celebrate follow through when people are doing the things that they're supposed to do. The fourth is keep growing together. Sharpen one another through feedback and learning. Feedback, learning. Feedback, learning. Do it together over and over and over and over again. And then the last one, fifth one, is protect the culture. Guard what you've built. That's what it means. Guard it from gossip, negativity, blame, shame, neglect. I mean, you name it. Protect it. Okay? If I could leave you with something I want you to really think about. I mean, obviously those five and how do you keep trust strong? I mean, that's it. That's the five that I want to give to you right now. But trust doesn't maintain itself. This is so important. It must be fed. It has to be guarded, has to be welcomed, has to be celebrated, has to be space created for it. So when you keep love and faithfulness active in your patterns, trust doesn't just stay there, it multiplies. Because everything I'm talking about it's love, it's faithfulness. It's what it all boils down to. And you keep it active in your patterns. So every day tomorrow's a pattern. I have an opportunity to do a pattern. Sun's going to come up. I wake up. I have a pattern. I have a process. I go through things. Every day I'm going to have an opportunity to say, what is put in my pattern? Is love put in the pattern? Is faithfulness put in the pattern? What pattern am I establishing? Because trust doesn't just stay when you do this, it'll multiply. And that's what we're looking for. How can you be contagious with your trust? We need trust to be the greatest contagion right now. And that's how individuals, teams, and families and leaders are going to create cultures and home lives and businesses and churches and just name anything you name that you can count on. That's how it's going to happen. And I'm encouraging you to just deeply commit yourself. Like really say, am I trustworthy? Can people trust me? Would I trust me? Has anyone broken my trust that I maybe can go to them and give them an opportunity to earn it back, to build trust with me again? Do you need to go to someone? Have you broken it? And do you need to go to them and say, hey, I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? And what can I do to earn trust again? What can I do to build that? Here's what I did, and here's what I'd like to do. And if you're in a case where they're unwilling to work with you, then you have to walk away. Or if the person that has harmed you and you're trying to help them and they don't want to, you want to work with them again, they don't want to, let them walk away. Remember, you don't retaliate, you release them. But then if you do have the opportunity to either build it fresh and new, or you earn it in order to build, I want to tell you to sustain it. And I want you to have love and faithfulness in the midst of it. Luke 16:10 says this, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. That's what it comes down to. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. You build trust in little things, you lose it in little things. So let's focus on building trust. Let's focus on keeping trust. And let's be contagious with our trust. I want to thank you so much for listening. And I can't wait to hear how you are learning, earning, building, and growing in trust. Until next time, we'll talk soon.